हेलो फ्रेंड्स, कैसे हो आप लोग? गुड आफ्टरनून. माई सेल्फ पुष्पेंद्र सिंह and we are going to start with our today's class for the current affairs. So today you have 19th of June 2021, and these lectures are basically based on the current affairs, right? And we are referring for these lectures the two national newspapers, the Hindu and Indian Express. You can also read those newspapers. Apart from that, you can subscribe our channel on the YouTube for these lectures so that you could supplement your preparation with the help of these lectures. So let's begin with the lecture. Okay, so first news is all about the Udyog Aadhaar Memorandum, right? So here the Ministry of Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises, or MSME, basically extend the validity of, right, the Udyog Aadhaar Memorandum. This Udyog Aadhaar Memorandum was basically initially was initiated by the Ministry of Micro, Small and the Medium Enterprises, right? Right, with the effect of providing certain other facilities to the micro, small and medium enterprises. Right, as you know that because of COVID restrictions, because of COVID-19 lockdowns, there were many problems that were faced by these micro, small and medium enterprises. Right, for example, they would not able to get the required finance. Right, they were not able to register themselves on because of some sort of paperwork or some sort of a lengthy registration process, right? So to ease that registration process and to give the priority sector lending to the MSMEs, such Udyog Aadhaar Memorandum was basically initiated. It's just a one paper registration format or one paper registration form, right? Any udyog means any enterprises, be it a micro enterprise or small or medium, they can just directly go online on the Government of India's website and directly can fill with the minimum required information, right? So in order to ease such registration process, this extension of this Udyog Aadhaar Memorandum was basically extended for another 6-7 months, that is from March 31st to 31st of December 2021. So this extend the validity of this Udyog Aadhaar Memorandum. Okay. Now, this Ministry of Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises in the year of 2015 was basically notified this Udyog Aadhaar, right? Definitely this Udyog Aadhaar would definitely ensure that these industries would easily can register with themselves, right, with the government, and also there will be wider coverage of MSMEs to avail various benefits, right, various other the benefits which are provided by the central government as well as the state government. Okay, so here the Udyog Aadhaar Memorandum can be filled by the online. So what we are talking about is Udyog Aadhaar, right? This Udyog Aadhaar, this would basically enable all the enterprises to file and register themselves, so that they could simply use this Udyog Aadhaar number, just like you have the Aadhaar number. So in that, right, you could avail various other benefits like that. The industries which they have received the Udyog Aadhaar number, just like our Aadhaar number. So this Udyog Aadhaar number is basically provided to these industries, right? The process of obtaining this Udyog Aadhaar number is very free of cost, right? It's a paperless. You could just directly go to the website and file your registration form. So both MSMEs and Udyog Aadhaar registration process are quite similar, okay, but they have some sort of a different initiatives. Like for example, the Udyog Aadhaar can be easily you can acquire basically on the government website to acquire the MSME registration. So Udyog Aadhaar can be a one basis to acquire this MSME registration, right? Or in order to register yourself as a MSME. Okay, so you can easily apply for MSME registration once you get this 12 digit, the Udyog Aadhaar number. It's a very easy process. You could also get it out. Okay. Now this Udyog Aadhaar Memorandum is a simply one-page registration, right? You could easily file out, and the most important aspect is that it's having the mechanism of self-certifying system, right? Where the MSME can register themselves, can self-certify themselves that whatever the information they have been provided is factually correct, right? For example, their existence, their bank account details, right? The promoters or the owner's Aadhaar number, right? And the minimum information that other basically been asked by the government in that respect. Okay, and for that purpose of filing this Udyog Aadhaar Memorandum, you don't need to pay any fees for that purpose. Okay, once you submit this Udyog Aadhaar Memorandum, right, Udyog Aadhaar acknowledgement, a simple acknowledgement would be sent to your registered Gmail account or registered Gmail address, which you have filled, right, for this one-page registration process. And after that, it will be sent, right, along with the unique Udyog Aadhaar number. That is just a 12 digit, Aadhaar number. And based on that, you could basically file your registration for getting this MSME tag or MSME certificate. Okay. Next, road accidents. As you know that lakhs of the people died on the Indian roads because of the road accidents. Now, there are some sort of structural problems or some sort of the problems with respect to the engineering side, the problems also with respect to the human error also. Okay, so many people, because of rash driving or because of very fast driving, they also collide with other vehicles, and there are some problems related to the structural, related to other engineering aspect also. So the Ministry of Road Transport and Highways, right, the Minister Nitin Gadkari have recently said that the government has made an ambitious target to reduce the road accident deaths by 50% by the year of 2024. Okay, so it's very important that the ministry is basically striving to reduce this road accidents, the deaths by restructuring and strengthening of the 4 E's. Okay, that 4 E's are basically for the purpose of road safety. The first is basically the engineering. Okay, the engineering means here the road and automobile engineering both. So you have to realign or you have to restructure a road in such a way that they are actually good for the driving purpose, as well as you have to redesign your automobiles also, right, so that it can basically reduce any sort of fatality because of road accidents. Okay, the second is basically economy. The third is basically enforcement. That is, you should have the enforcement agencies, right, to press into the surface if there is a rash driving or there is some sort of a breakage of the rules and the regulations related to the road safety. And the fourth is basically education. You have to educate the people regarding the slow driving, regarding the safe driving on the Indian roads. So it's very, very important. And the Nitin Gadkari also congratulated the FICCI on the announcement of the road safety consortium that is called SAFAR, right? This SAFAR is basically based on the safe system approach. Okay, and the minister or the Nitin Gadkari also announced that the independent road safety council will be formulated, right? It will be headed by a retired IAS officer, right? And that independent road safety council will be coming into the force in the next 15 days. So let us understand about this road safety consortium, the road safety consortium that is called SAFAR. Okay, so here the FICCI consortium on the road safety, right, definitely with the association with the corporates, that is also called SAFAR, right? SAFAR means here the safer actions for the accident reduction. So that is basically providing certain blueprint for the reduction of the road accidents, right? So here the safer actions for the accident reduction was basically announced at the event, right, which was also attended by our Union Road Transport Minister, Mr. Nitin Gadkari. So this consortium primarily focusing on the comprehensive approach to free the India from all avoidable crashes, okay, or all avoidable fatalities, as well as the serious injuries, that is based on the learning from the safe system approach that we are talking. So similar strategy, for example, the similar strategy, just like this safe system approach, was also adopted by other countries. For example, the Sweden, which is also Scandinavian countries, implementing this type of strategies, right? So it's a very good strategy, right, on the path to achieve the zero road fatalities, right? So definitely the India is also implementing these type of strategies, and this initiative will focus on the safe vehicles, the safe infrastructure aspect on the road safety ecosystem. Okay, the minister also announced also released the FICCI white paper on the road safety for highlighting certain issues related to the road safety. So it's very, very important that the minister also emphasized that there is a need to identify the black spots where the maximum concentration of the road accidents basically occurred in this stretch. So this black spot will be identified in every district, in every state, in every city, so that you could restructure them, you could redesign them in such a way that could reduce the road accidents on the roads. Okay, so a black spot is defined as where the stretch is not more than 500 meters in the length. Okay, where at least 5 accidents have been taken place, or where the 10 fatalities have been taken place in last 3 years. So if that type of stretch is there, that type of stretch will be identified, that will be redesigned, remodeled, developed in such a way that such fatalities or such accidents will not occur again. Okay, so you could see the vehicle which is after the collision. Okay, next, the PUC or pollution under control certificate. So it's very, very important news here. The Ministry of Road Transport and the Highways, the Union Minister, basically Mr. Nitin Gadkari, have come to the uniform format for the issuance of this pollution under control certificate. So until now, what is happening is that there are different formats issued under different state governments for that purpose. Okay, now the Ministry of Road Transport and the Highways basically mooted a common format for this pollution control or pollution under control certificate. Okay, that is basically enforced under the Central Motor Vehicles Rules 1989, which was enforced by the Ministry of Road Transport and the Highways. So with that common format, many problems will be sorted out, or many problems will be smoothened out, right? For example, this introduction of this uniform pollution under control certificate format, right, would definitely link the pollution control certificate database with the national register, so that it can easily find out any sort of a bogus certificate or any sort of the certificate which are basically not complying with the Central Motor Vehicle rules. Okay, so this concept of the concept of the rejection slip, right, which is also added here with this uniform format, this will be introduced for the first time. Okay, so here the most important aspect is that a common format of the rejection slip is to be given, right, to the vehicle owner specifically. Okay, in the case of the test result value is more than the maximum permissible value, right? So that means if the test result value that is being conducted, okay, now if this test result value is basically more than the maximum permissible value or maximum value, right, as it is mandated in the concerned emission norm, right? So this document can be shown at various service centers, right? Service centers which basically provide the services to the vehicle for getting the vehicle serviced, or that can also be, in case of this PUCC center device which is also not functioning properly, right? You could basically use this rejection slip certificate at the another center for that purpose. Okay, and definitely if you provide this PUCC, the certificate or the uniform certificate, definitely you will have to worry about your some of the sensitive information or some of your personal information. So this confidentiality of your personal information will be ensured through this uniform, the pollution under control certificate. For example, the vehicle's owner's mobile number, name and address will not be shown to the service center, or will not be shown to other, the service providers. Engine numbers, the chassis number will not be shown. Only the last four digit will be visible, right? And the initial digit will be completely masked. So that type of sensitive information will also not be shown. Here, the owner's mobile number has been made mandatory, right? For which some sort of a SMS alert will be provided for the validation and for the fee. So here, if any enforcement officer is there, right, which basically enforce the motor vehicle rules, right, has a reason to believe that a motor vehicle is not complying with the provision of the emission standard as per the motor vehicle rules 1989, right, such enforcement officer would communicate in writing or some sort of electronic means to directly to the driver of a person, right, or driver or any person who is basically in charge of the vehicle, right, for the purpose of submitting this vehicle for conducting this test. Okay, now through this SMS alert or through this whatever means, electronic means also, for the purpose of this pollution under control testing stations. If the driver or the person in charge of of the vehicle do not comes up for this vehicle compliance or for this pollution under control testing stations, right, definitely the person will be liable for the payment or for the penalty for that purpose. So here the enforcement would be done by IT enabled services and will have the better control over over polluting vehicles. So in that matter, I told you now, if that over polluting vehicles are there, the enforcement officer directly will send, right, either electronic means or either by any other means in the writing to the driver or to the person who is in charge of the vehicle regarding the vehicle who is not complying with the rules or who is over polluting, right? Then the enforcement officer may ask the concerned driver or may ask the person to immediately come to the under pollution control testing stations where he has to test his vehicle, right? Even if he is not appeared over there, right, he will have to pay the penalty for that purpose. And even if the owner failed to comply for this, okay, the registration authority can also cancel this the pollution under control certificate for that purpose, and can also cancel some sort of a certificate of the registration of the vehicle for that purpose for the temporary period until the owner basically appeared for this testing station. And there will also be QR code. This QR code will be printed in the form, right? And it will contain the complete information about this PUC certificate of the vehicle. Okay. Next, you have the JST Summit, right? So here it's a basically festival, right? The JST Summit is celebrated at the shrine of Kheer Bhavani, right? There is a shrine. There is a shrine of Kheer Bhavani, okay, in the honor of the goddess, in the honor of the goddess Ranganya Devi. So there is a goddess called Ranganya Devi. For that purpose, there is a shrine of Kheer Bhavani, right, in the honoring of this goddess Ranganya Bhavani. So here, right, why this Kheer Bhavani is there? So here the kheer or the right puddlings, which is basically made, the boiled rice will be basically cooked with the help of the milk, right, on this day. And such type of kheer will be offered to the goddess. So here the people from the all over the country, specifically within the Jammu and Kashmir, visited this temple. This temple is basically located, or the goddess Rangya Devi temple is located at the Tulmulla. The Tulmulla is basically a village in the Ganderwal district of Jammu and Kashmir, or Ganderwal district of the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir. Okay, so here, right, the people also attend, the annual Kheer Bhavani Mela, which is also conducted or which is also inaugurated at the time of this, especially, at the time of the JST Ashtami. So here the JST Ashtami, that is basically at the time the members of the religious community, especially the Hindu community members, basically assembled at the shrine of the Kheer Bhavani, right, specifically to give the honor to their patron goddess Ranganya Devi. Okay, so the Prime Minister Narendra Modi basically greeted or congratulated specifically the Kashmiri Pandit community, right, because such type of shrine of Kheer Bhavani and the patron goddess Ranganya Devi is basically the patron for the Kashmiri Pandit community, which basically on the occasion, on the occasion of JST Ashtami, they participated or they offered their offerings to the goddess Ranganya Devi. Okay, the kheer is just simply the rice which is boiled in the milk, right, which is prepared on this day, on this auspicious day, and that will be offered to the goddess. So here, the Mela Kheer Bhavani is nothing but an annual festival which will be, celebrated every year, right, where the devotees of the goddess Ranganya Devi basically, they gathered on this day of the JST Ashtami. So JST Ashtami is nothing but the 8th day of full moon, specifically in the month of the May and the June, where the goddess changes the color of the spring waters. So what is this full moon? So when the moon is moved 180 degree, right, from the new moon position, that means where the sun, earth and the moon form a line, right, where the sun, earth and the moon completely form the line 180 degree angle. Okay, at that point of the time, the moon's disk is as close as it can be, to be fully illuminated by the sun. So it is called the full moon. Okay, there will be some sort of the linear relationship between the earth, moon and sun. Okay, so here you will have the Mata Kheer Bhavani, which is famous for the purpose of the goddess Ranganya Devi. Okay, next, the helpline 155260. So here the most important aspect is that you have the cyber crime, you have the cyber fraud. So crores of the rupees basically lost because of the cyber crime and cyber fraud related activities. So to provide the safe and secure digital payment system or the ecosystem in our country, the Union Home Ministry basically operationalized this helpline, which is known as 155260. Okay, where the users can directly report their fraud, right, or that activities where the fraudulently their money have been lost to the cyber fraud. So here the payments or the users can directly report the lost money that they have lost to the fraudulent cyber activity, right? And here this national helpline and reporting platform will provide a mechanism for, right, the person who have been cheated because of the cyber fraud, right, so that they could re-get their lost money, their hard-earned money for that purpose. As of now, such helpline basically covers only the 7 states and the union territory. For example, it is only functioning in the Chhattisgarh, Delhi, Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, Telangana, Uttarakhand, and Uttar Pradesh. Definitely, it covers only 35% of the country's population. Over the period of the time, it will cover the remaining part of the country also. So here, the most important aspect is that this helpline, which is also known as 155260, right, is basically it's a reporting platform which is operationalized by the Indian Cyber Crime Coordination Center, that is also known as I4C. So this Indian Cyber Crime Coordination Center, which works under the Ministry of Home Affairs, that is Ministry of Home Affairs, right? This facility basically empowers the banks, the police, right, by leveraging this new age technology, right, for the purpose of sharing this online fraud related information and to take action or to take the timely action related to this fraudulent activities related to the cyber crime. So here, the loss of this defrauded money, right, in the online cheating cases can be stopped by chasing the money trail. Okay, and such other, such type of actions will be taken under the digital ecosystem. Okay, for that purpose. And this hotline that is basically is 155260 is operated and manned by the concerned state police. It is manned by the concerned state police. So for example, if you are a victim of this fraudulently cheated your hard-earned money through the digital payment system, right, if you are victim for that, you could simply dial this number, that is 155260. Okay, there will be a state police operator or the person who will be in charge of this handling of this helpline. They will basically pick your call, right? You just note down or you just let them note down your the fraudulent transaction details as well as your personal, the basic information, right? Definitely they will, or the such type of police person will then submit these details in the form of a ticket to the Citizen Financial Cyber Fraud Reporting and the Management System, which is functioning under the Ministry of Home Affairs. This ticket will then be sent to the concerned banks or the concerned wallets or the concerned merchants, right? Through that, such type of fraudulent activities have been done. It depending on whether the bank or the victim has used the bank or the wallet or some other platform for that purpose. Okay, and now for that purpose an acknowledgement will be sent to you. Okay, that the government has received, or particular bank or particular wallet have received the complaint, right? It will then also include the direction, right, to complete the details of the fraud, that will be registered on the National Cyber Crime Reporting Portal, right, within 24 hours, right, using this acknowledgement number. Then the concerned bank, right, or the concerned wallet which have been used for the purpose of this cyber crime, right, will now can see the ticket on their dashboard. Okay, on the reporting portal, we check the details, right, of this the cyber crime. Then this defrauded money is still available. If this defrauded money is still available, the bank basically put it on hold, or that means the fraudsters cannot withdraw this money. So in this case, the defrauded money have been moved out to the another bank. The same ticket will get escalated to the next bank. Okay, then the next line will also stop that type of money from being withdrawn by these fraudsters. So this process will continue to be repeated until the money is saved from reaching into the hands of the fraudsters. So in this way, you could basically save your money. Okay, next, the birth death registration basically ups in 2019. So here what is happening is that, right, the registration of the birth as well as the deaths in the country have improved in 2019, right, which have been provided according to the vital stats of the India, which is based on the civil registration system. Okay, now let us understand what is this the stats of India based on the civil registration system. So here the state-wise data will be compiled, right, under the civil registration system related to the birth, deaths, and etc. So here, before we going to this data, let us understand this civil registration system. So this history of this civil registration system, basically you can trace down, right, in the middle of 19th century during the British period of the time, when in 1886, right, the Central Birth, the Deaths, and the Marriage Registration Act was basically promulgated to provide the voluntary registration throughout the British India. So the British basically offered the voluntary registration regarding the birth, death, and the marriage registration under this civil registration system. Post independence, what happens is, right, an act was passed by the parliament that is called the Registration of Birth and the Death Act, that is 1969. This act, that is Registration of the Birth and the Death Act, was basically passed, right, by the parliament to promote the uniformity and the comparability in the registration of the birth and death across the country, right, simultaneously to compile this vital stats which is based on the registration of the state agencies, right. With the enactment of this act, which is known as the Registration of the Birth and Death Act, the registration of the birth, deaths, and stillbirths have become mandatory in our country. So here you have the Registrar General of India, right, at the central government level, which coordinate and unify the activities of the registration throughout the country, right. However, the implementation of this act means Registration of the Birth and Death Act, basically, vested with the state government. So here the registration of the birth and the deaths in our country is done by the functionary which is appointed by the state government only. Definitely the Directorate of the Census Operations, right, which is nothing but a subordinate office under the Office of Registrar General of India, right, are responsible for monitoring the work of this act by the state governmental agencies. So here, right, the issuance of this report on the vital stats of India, which is based on this civil registration system, that was basically, taken in the year of 2018. So that was taken in the year of 2018. Okay, that provides you the overview of the data which is related to the birth, deaths, infant deaths, right, stillbirth, the rural urban, the sex wise ratio or the sex ratio at the birth, right, which is based on some sort of a civil registration records. So ideally, this type of annual reports on the vital stats provide the more detailed information, right, to the common people, for the purpose of research, for the purpose of other governmental, policy formation. So it's very very important. This annual report basically provides the report for the year of 2018, okay, containing some sort of a key information, right, that is basically, compiled during the data from the 1st January 2018 to the 31st December 2018. That means this report or this data is basically from the 2018, from the 1st December to the 31st of from the 1st January 2018 to 31st of December 2018. Okay, now let us understand the data under the civil registration system. So here, first of all, the level of the birth registration, right, have improved if you compare this data from 2019 and 2018. So here in 2019, 92.7% of the birth have been registered, right. As you compare in 2018, only 87.8% of the birth have been registered. Okay. Regarding the death registration, the death registration also improved. For example, in 2018, only 84.6% of the deaths have been registered. In 2019, 92% of the total deaths have been registered under the civil registration system. Okay. Right. Next, the 14 states and the Union Territory achieved 100% level of birth registration. That means in these 14 states and the Union Territory, 100% birth have been registered with this civil registration system, right? And the 19 states and the Union Territory achieved the same level in the case of the death registration in the country under the civil registration system, right? The two states, the Mizoram and the Tripura, which is the northeastern states, reported 100% registration of the both birth and the deaths, right? That means these two states reported 100% of their birth and the deaths under the civil registration system. Okay. Meghalaya, which has reported 100% registration of their birth on the civil registration system. Okay. As well as they have, the Meghalaya also reported 97.6% of their deaths under the civil registration system. Assam reported 100% of their registration of their birth on the civil registration system, but The Assam reported only 74% of their deaths on the civil registration system, right? Regarding data regarding sex ratio at the birth, right, which is also recorded on the civil registration system. So here the Arunachal Pradesh basically recorded 1024 the sex ratio at the birth, right? At the birth means you could understand the number of females took the birth divided by the number of males took the birth. Okay, it is followed by the Nagaland, that is 1001 sex ratio, which is a good sex ratio in this Arunachal Pradesh and Nagaland. The Mizoram reported 975, Andaman and Nicobar Islands reported 965. The lowest sex ratio at the birth is reported in the state of Gujarat, that is 901, the Assam 903, the Madhya Pradesh 905, followed by the Jammu and Kashmir is 909. Okay, so you could see the beautiful, the small baby, right? The leg of the small baby. Okay, next, the atlas on the general elections 2019. So here the Chief Election Commissioner Sri Sushil Chandra basically have recently released the general election 2019 and atlas, right? This atlas was released with the other election commissioners Sri Rajiv Kumar and Sri Anup Chandra Pandey. Okay, now what about this, the atlas on the general election? So here the 17th general election for the Lok Sabha was conducted in the year of 2019, as you know, and as was the outcome of that, BJP government or the NDA government basically came into the power at the central level. So it's the largest democratic exercise where every citizen of the country basically participated. So here the participation of around 61.468 crore voters basically participated in this 17th general election of the Lok Sabha, right? There was around 10 lakh polling stations that were basically organized by the Election Commission of India for the purpose of voting, and it covers the combined area of around 32 lakh square kilometers. That is also the territory of our country. So here the atlas basically encompass the data and the stats, okay, which is related to some sort of event of the 17th general election. So there you will have the 42 thematic maps, okay, 42 thematic maps that is based on the themes. You will have the 90 tables in this map depicting the various facets of the elections, that is the 17th general election. So this atlas also shares the interesting fact, right, the legal provisions related to the Indian elections also, right? So that basically the process of this compiling of the data, right, that was begin from the first general election that was held in 1951-52, right? The first general election was held during that point of the time, and the commission of the Election Commission of India is basically continuously publishing this compilation of the election data or electoral data in the form of the statistical books or the narratives. Okay, so the Indian elections, this electoral data is primarily collected during the preparation of the electoral roll by the electoral registration officers. It's also processed by the conduct of the elections by the returning officers. Okay, then it will be collated by these statutory authorities, and thereafter you will have lot of electoral process, and Election Commission of India basically collect this electoral data and prepare various types of report for the purpose of compilation, records, and dissemination. One such atlas is basically compiled by the Election Commission of India through this process. Okay, the main purpose is to better visualize and represent the electoral data, right? So this atlas would definitely serve, right, some sort of a informative or the illustrative document that will bring out the light on the basically the electoral process during the 17th general election in our country. Okay, so here the 23 states and the union territory, right, the data shows that, or this atlas shows that the women voting percentage have more than the male voting percentage. So this atlas also bring about, right, the salient features of the data from these 23 states and the union territories, where the women percentage of the voting is much more than the male voting percentage, right? It will also have the information about the largest and the smallest parliamentary constituency in terms of electors, right? It will also have the data regarding the candidates and the performance of the political parties, right? As well as it will also have the other parameters. So basically compare the 2014 the general election data with 2019 general election data. So in 2019 they witnessed the lower gender gap ratio, right, as compared to the 2014 general election. Okay, so the electoral gender ratio have shows the positive trend, because in the 23 states the women voting percentage was even more than the male voting percentage. So that shows the elector gender ratio have shown the positive trend, right, since 1971. So in 2019 general election, that was 926. That was 926. Okay. Then the Election Commission of India also compares the average number of electors per polling station, right, in the different states during 2014, during 2015, right? Sorry, during 2019. Now, this Election Commission of India also set up, more than 10 lakh polling stations, right, in 2019. And the lowest number of electors per polling station was lowest in Arunachal Pradesh, that was just 365. Okay, and overall polling percentage for this 17th general election was only 67.4 percentage, which is having the highest turnout, right, in the Lok Sabha poll ever been recorded. Okay, so here you could see the Election Commission of India, the Chief Election Commissioner, as well as the other election commissioners, basically releasing an atlas which provides the data regarding the electoral process in our country during the 17th general election of Lok Sabha. Next, the Desertification and Land Degradation Atlas of India. So here, on the occasion of the desertification, the drought day, which is basically, celebrated or commemorated by the Ministry of the Environment and the Forest and the Climate Change. So here, the Minister of the State for Environment and the Forest and Climate Change, you could say that MOEF and CC, that is the Ministry of Environment and Forest and Climate Change. So the Union Minister of Environment and Union Minister of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, the Babul Supriyo, basically on the occasion of this virtual event that was commemorated on the occasion of the desertification of the drought day, has released this largest version of the desertification and the latest the land degradation atlas for the India. So the main purpose of this, to generate the large awareness, or to generate the large scale awareness towards understanding, the role of the land in all sort of a environmental and economic concern. So with that atlas would also provide the data regarding the state-wise area of the degraded land, right? So that statewide data will be provided under this atlas, right, in the year of 2018 and 19. So that will provide some sort of analysis, right, during the last 15 years, that is starting from 2003-5 to 2018 and 19. This atlas is basically published by the Space Application Center under the ISRO by Ahmedabad. Okay. So here you could see the data which is being compiled by the Space Application Center, ISRO, Ahmedabad. Okay. Next, the Kamin-Potin Road. So this Kamin-Potin Road is basically located in Arunachal Pradesh and Assam. So here, the Defense Minister, Mr. Rajnath Singh, have dedicated to the nation the 12 roads which are built by the Border Road Organization in the northern and the eastern border areas. So here, out of these 12 roads that we are talking, right, the one road basically made in the Union Territory of Ladakh. Okay, one road is basically also made in the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir. Okay, the remaining 10 roads are basically in Arunachal Pradesh. So you have the 12 roads which are dedicated to the Union Territory of to the nation, which was built by the Border Road Organization. The one road was built in the Union Territory of Ladakh, one road in the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir, and the 10 roads are built in the Arunachal Pradesh, which is a northeastern state. So definitely this event, which is organized in the Lakhimpur district of Assam, right, the Defense Minister basically inaugurated this 20-kilometer long double lane Kamin-Potin Road in the Assam's Lakhimpur district, right? In this inauguration, the Arunachal Pradesh Chief Minister was also present, right? And here the most important aspect is that these roads basically would provide the connectivity to these hilly terrain states, specifically in the northern portion of India as well as in the northeastern portion of India, right? And these roads that we are talking are constructed under the Anunak, the Vartak, the Brahmang, the Udyang, the Himang and Sampat projects, which was started, right, by the Ministry of Defense with the association of the Border Road Organization. So definitely these roads would provide, the much needed emphasis on the Act East policy of the government of India to connect these northeastern states to the neighboring countries, right? So here I would give you the detail about these roads. So first of all, you could also make the report, or you could also make a chart. So first of all, in the Arunachal Pradesh, where the 10 roads are basically dedicated. The first is basically the Kimin Portin Road. This is the first road which is dedicated to the Arunachal Pradesh. The second is the Vaijan TCC Maza Road. This is the second road. The third road is basically the Palipara Charduar Road in the Arunachal Pradesh. Okay. Then you will have the next road, that is the Balipara Charduar Tawang Road, right? This is the third road. Then you will have the Balipara Charduar Tawang. These Balipara Charduar Tawang are basically, these are the three roads. These are the three roads combinedly, okay, under the similar name. Then you have the Yarlung Lamang. The Yarlung Lamang is the another road, okay. Then you have the approach route to the Lohitpur and the Shivaji Nagar. That is also in Arunachal Pradesh. Then you have the Ronin Koronu Paya Road. That is also in Arunachal Pradesh. And the last you have the Meka Rowing Hunli Road. That is also in Arunachal Pradesh. So these roads are basically in the Arunachal Pradesh. If you see in the union territory of the Ladakh, in the union territory of Ladakh, you will have the road that is named as the Koyul Fortile Chusumlu Josa. This is the road which is constructed by the Border Road Organization in the Ladakh. If you see in the Jammu and Kashmir, in the union territory of Jammu and Kashmir, the road name is the Dogra Mandir. The Dogra Mandir Perol Bhomial Road. Okay. So this is the road that we are talking about, the Kemin Porting Road, which was inaugurated by the Defense Minister Rajnath Singh. Okay. Next you have the Rev Danda Port. This Rev Danda Port is basically recently what happens is the basically vessel which is known as the MB Mangalam vessel, where the 16 crew members are basically reported sinking, specifically of the coast of the Rev Danda. So here the Indian Coast Guard persons basically rescued the 16 crew members of this MB Mangalam vessel, which is reported to be sinking nearby the coast of Maharashtra. So here nearby the Rev Danda coast, the Indian Coast Guard basically rescued the 16 crew members. So this Rev Danda coast or Rev Danda port is basically located in the west coast, that is approximately 44 kilometers south of Mumbai. So this port basically provides some sort of a facilities like the anchorage facilities, small alongside jetties for the unloading of the iron ore, which will be supplied to the nearby steel plant. Okay. So here you could see the Mumbai port, which is a major port, then Ratnagiri port, which is also in the Maharashtra. Then you have the Marmugao port, which is located in the Goa. Then you have the Mangalore port, which is located in the Karnataka. Then you have this Kakinada port, which is located in the Andhra Pradesh over there. And that other than you have other projects, other ports like Krishnapatnam port, L&T Katulipalli port. Then you have Ennore port, which is located in Tamil Nadu. That's all for today. Thank you very much. We'll meet again tomorrow for our next conference. Thank you.